Okay, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're deconstructing the architecture of a multi-billion-dollar empire to see exactly how it was built. We're talking about scaling from a single college campus to billions, literally billions of users. This is a masterclass in scale, strategy, and survival. It's one thing to have a cool idea, right? But it takes a completely different approach to turn that idea into a global entity that fundamentally changes how humanity communicates. We're going to break down the Zuckerberg blueprint, extracting the real, verified business and leadership lessons from a journey that started in the most unlikely of places.
So, I want you to really think about this for a second. How did a college student build one of the world's biggest technology companies? It's a question that's been fascinating entrepreneurs for 2 decades now. We aren't talking about a seasoned executive with 30 years of industry experience and some massive initial funding. No, we're looking at a student. So what was the exact sequence of events and the precise leadership decisions that transformed a college directory into the literal foundation of the modern internet? Well, that's exactly what we're going to unpack. To do that, we'll trace this incredible journey in 5 steps, starting with the dorm room hacker, then building the social network, scaling the meta empire, extracting the Zuckerberg leadership blueprint, and finally, looking at some unknown facts and what the future holds.
Let's jump into Section 1, the dorm room hacker. You see, every massive structure starts with a single point of origin. And the critical variable here? It was his childhood interest in computers and programming. He didn't just stumble into technology by accident. Get this, at age 12, he created a messaging program his family called ZuckNet, just to connect his dad's dental practice to their house. Pretty wild, right? This early immersion built this native fluency in digital architecture that, frankly, most people simply didn't have back then. So by the time he reached his college years and got into Harvard University, he wasn't just a regular student studying subjects. He was already a seasoned system architect who viewed the whole world through the lens of code and connectivity.
Moving right along to Section 2, building the social network.
Now think about the sheer scale of this leap. Back in 2004, it was this closed ecosystem, right? A simple directory completely confined to Harvard's campus. Today, it connects billions of people across the globe. The gap between those two realities is absolutely staggering. And recognizing that the window of opportunity for this platform was moving way faster than his college curriculum, he made the massive, pivotal decision to drop out of Harvard. He basically chose to build the future rather than just sit in a classroom and study it. But leaving school didn't make things magically easy. Growing the platform from Harvard to Stanford to Yale and then eventually the general public required some serious, massive infrastructure scaling. They weren't just battling for users, they were literally battling server crashes and a market that just didn't fully grasp what social media even was yet. Attracting early users meant building the very concept of social networking while simultaneously having to convince people why they even needed it. It was this intense, constant cycle of iteration just to keep the site online as growth absolutely skyrocketed.
All right, Section 3, scaling the meta empire.
Of course, scaling globally meant facing some severe resistance along the way. This included early financial hurdles of just trying to keep the servers running for millions of users, fierce competition for attention, and highly publicized legal disputes over the company's founding rights. And as their influence swelled around the world, so did public scrutiny over data privacy. But the defining factor of this blueprint wasn't avoiding conflict. It was relentlessly adapting the company's infrastructure in the face of it. The objective reality here is that building at this massive scale attracts unprecedented scrutiny, which requires constant ongoing structural improvement.
The company's evolution through all this friction was highly strategic. After hitting major user milestones with the core platform, they definitely didn't just rest. They made some aggressive acquisitions, most notably buying Instagram and WhatsApp to secure long-term market dominance. And this strategic growth recently culminated in a massive paradigm shift, rebranding the entire company to Meta and pivoting billions of dollars into the underlying architecture of artificial intelligence and virtual reality. They completely transitioned from being just a single social app to, attempting to build the absolute next digital frontier. This brings us to Section 4, the Zuckerberg leadership blueprint. This global empire runs on a very specific operating system of success habits. It requires long-term thinking. We're talking looking a full decade past the current quarter, paired with continuous learning to adapt to things like AI early on. It demands relentless innovation, building exceptionally strong teams who can actually execute the vision, and taking highly calculated risks. Things like acquiring competitors when critics claim the price is way too high, or pivoting an entire trillion-dollar brand. So let me ask you directly, how are you applying continuous learning and calculated risk-taking to your own goals right now? Definitely something to think about. Finally, Section 5, Unknown Facts and Future. Today, as the CEO of Meta, his focus has completely shifted to the absolute forefront of future tech. By heavily weighting investments toward AI and the metaverse through virtual reality, they are laying the groundwork for how we're all going to interact, work, and connect in the next decade. The mission has entirely evolved from connecting college dorms to building entirely new digital universes used by billions of people every single day. And right before we wrap up this explainer, I've got to share a few verified, lesser-known facts from this journey.
Like, did you know Facebook's iconic blue color scheme was originally chosen because Zuckerberg is red-green colorblind? It actually makes blue the richest color for him to see. Pretty cool, right? Or how about the fact that he actively learned Mandarin to a highly proficient level just to better understand global markets, even giving full speeches at Tsinghua University? These surprising little details really remind us that beneath a massive corporate entity are very human, bold, and unique characteristics driving the decisions.
We've deconstructed the origin, the massive friction, and the leadership habits behind one of tech's biggest empires. Now that you have this blueprint, the only question is, what will you build with it? Whether you're scaling a business, advancing a career, or mastering a new skill, the underlying architecture is exactly the same. Learn continuously, adapt through the friction, and always, always build for the long term. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll catch you on the next one.